Alright, we are live. I will be back. Alright, there you go.
All right, guys, beautiful. So let's check out the economic calendar. Wednesday is a good day for us to actually like start some volume because we have a lot of data coming out, starting with CPI from this morning. Looks like it came out all higher than expected. Obviously, that was expected with inflation going on. I'm sure if you look at this graph right over here, as you can see, you have inflation since the beginning of 2021. Almost every single month has either hit expectations or exceeded expectations. And now we just had right now 6.0, actually 6.2 came out. And that's almost highest since I think ever right now when it comes to the Great Britain economy. So that's obviously not good. Normally, inflation is good as long as it stays around 2%. But when it's above this, it's really not that good, right? That's not a good sign for the economy and what's going on because everyone's paying for more things. Like let's say that you guys, a lot of you guys trade and you guys are all building multiple sources of income with trading where you're not really reliant on an employer. Now, we actually went over this yesterday morning, but when you're reliant on an employer and you're making the same wage every single week, every 2 weeks, or every month, and prices start going up, you're going to be hit by that. As you guys could probably see in the US, your gas, you're paying a lot more to travel to work, you're paying a lot more to go to the grocery store, paying a lot more for groceries and all that stuff. So that's not good for your pocket. It's not good for your bank account. So obviously, inflation is not too good right now. So as you can see, hit higher than expected. Um, Now moving into 8 o'clock, we have Bailey speaking for the Bank of England, and we have Powell speaking as well at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that's interesting. We also have the annual budget release, which is basically the budget of the country. You know what they plan on doing and where they plan on spending their money with the government. So that'll be important. Right now it's tentative. Moving into 10:30, you have crude oil inventories, and then you also have Bullard speaking, another FOMC member who's normally been hawkish. So, and then later on tonight, he'll be speaking during Asian session as well. Then later on, I don't know if you guys trade any AUD pairs, but you have manufacturing and services PMI coming out for the Asian session, and then the manufacturing and services PMI start tonight and then go into tomorrow, where you have a big PMI day for all these other countries in the London and New York, time zone. So you have Japanese manufacturing and services PMI. So if you guys trade GJ, you may see a little movement in that because of these two data points coming out. So just keep an eye on that. But most of all, you have these two speaking, which is going to be important when it comes to whether they're going to increase rates next meeting or whether they're going to increase rates by 50 basis points compared to 25. And if you guys watch the breakdown that Trump and I did on Monday, you'll see that we were talking about this and how Powell was very open to increasing by 50 basis points. I personally I'm a little bit more dovish. I think that we should gradually work our way into this because if you increase rates too fast, it gets harder to do business a lot quicker, and that is going to hit the economy pretty hard. And I think we have a very unstable economy right now as it is. So I don't think we're ready for 50 basis point hikes, especially with what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. So that's the economic calendar. We're going to head over to the charts. Let's see. I actually got to pin this. Has anybody actually downloaded the TradingView um, app on their computer yet? In the taskbar, there we go. Anybody? No? All right. Guess I'm alone today. We got someone in the chat. Yeah, Daniel, I highly recommend it. I mean, it's not that much different, but like you're not going to have all these internet tabs of all these different charts on your internet. So it's an actual uh, desktop app that you can use that you can download to your computer, and it's its own thing. If you could see it right down here, so I highly recommend it. I like it. But anyway, now what I did on Monday with our session for my group. It's actually on YouTube if you want to watch it. I broke down every single movement on GJ, why it's happened, the whole history behind GJ, all the levels that it's reached, and basically where it's at right now. I broke it down step by step. So if you guys want to go back and watch that, I think I spent like 20 minutes on it. Feel free to go either watch the it would be my session from Monday. So just go onto my YouTube channel, you go check it out. Highly recommend it. It'll give you some education and basically catch up on what's going on in GJ and why everything is happening right now. But anyway, the more recent price action, as you guys could see, I have some key levels marked off. 156, which is that previous level over here to the left that we finally reached back in 2021, where we were in this huge bullish trend with a lot of stimulus going on in the economy, pushing us up into 156. So we finally retested that, and then we got that retracement right back down to candle body highs at 149. So as you can see, 149 and 156 price has been ranging in this area for quite some time, many months now. And also, not to mention, rejecting hard 156 as well, right? All these candles closing below. Looks like this candle wanted to come above, flip bearish, close below. This candle as well, where we push all the way up to 158, which is another level that I marked off, flip bearish, close below 156. This candle actually pushed below that candle as well, pushing all the way back down to 151 over here, and it looked like we were coming right back down to 149. But we ended up tapping into this trend line over here, holding support in a very key area, not to mention this multi-year downtrend that, again, I broke down on that Zoom if you guys want to watch it. This is a very key area right here where price bounced off, and this wasn't just technicals, this was fundamentals as well. And it's kind of funny how fundamentals and technicals always kind of seem to line up. So price ended up pushing down this way because of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, right? So a lot of fear in the market, people pulling their money into the Japanese yen. Price passed the low of that candle, pushed all the way down, but as soon as we tapped into that area, technically it reacted to it, holding support at 151. And then what happened? Fundamentally, there was a rumor that they were going to increase rates again, right? And that was pretty well known that they were going to actually do that. But once the U.S. increased interest rates, price flipped bullish, and we've been on our way up since. So we're finally breaking through these levels. We're coming to the close of the month over here. It's March 23rd. So it looks like there's a good chance for the monthly candle over here to actually close above 158. The interesting thing here is I don't really trade EMAs. It's not like I'll take a trade based on 2 EMAs crossing, but I'll keep them on my chart. I like the 10 EMA, the 50 EMA, and the 200 EMA. And as you can see, we just tapped into that area, not to mention a key level and a psychological level of 160. I'm just going to mark that off. So right now it looks like price is reacting to that 200 EMA and 160 over here, where you have a wick on the to the left over here on some of the lower time frames that I'm going to mark off. We can also mark off the current wick that we just tapped into, and we can always adjust that as we go down the time frames. So I think that's pretty much good for the monthly. Anybody have any questions so far? Unfortunately, I don't have YouTube up, so hopefully you guys don't have questions. No, we're good? All right. Moving into the weekly. All right. The weekly, we've had 3 consecutive bullish candles after bouncing off 151, grabbing liquidity, closing a strong bullish candle with a wick to fill. This candle created a small bottom wick, passed the high of that candle, and just took off with the rumor and the actual rate hike. So we pushed all the way up to 157, right? And what did we say in the beginning of the week? This is a weekly candle. So in the beginning of that candle, it's got to create that bottom wick before it flips bullish. So over here, we were actually reacting to 157 to create this bottom wick over here where we flipped bearish, and then we ended up flipping bullish on that Monday, right? It didn't take long for us to flip bullish, and we've just been taking off ever since. I grabbed a nice trade about like 220 pips on GJ over here where I ended up closing around 160, which is my take profit. And as you can see, we did push through 160 even more up to 161, 100, but we're still rejecting 160, and that's why that was my take profit over here. Again, I was comfortable with 200 pips. I'm happy with that. So taking profit is something that you guys should always be doing, and knowing certain levels when to take profit. Let's look over to the left as far as like some of our targets over here, because we are breaking 158, and we need to start looking at some of the targets that we need to be hitting once we close above 158. You have 150, 164 over here, which is something that I'm targeting, which you have a previous resistance with this wick, resistance here, support here, and then you have this wick over here. And you can see these wicks, obviously this is the weekly, these wicks are actually supports, hard resistances on the lower time frames. All right, so it's definitely a key area, 164. But we do have other levels as well, like I would say put this somewhere around here, this candle body high. We can always look at this on the lower time frames too, as far as like the next target, which is what we actually just tapped into. And you could see all these hard rejections of this area every time we tap into that area as well. All right, so just keep an eye on that, and don't kind of like just take that for granted, or I don't know how I would say that, not take it for granted, but don't ignore it. That's a better way to say it. So again, weekly candle, as you guys know the anatomy of a candle, what you do is beginning of the candle, we create that bottom wick, then we make our push, and then we retrace a little bit, creating that top wick, and then maybe we make that last push to end the week, and then we retrace a little bit like on like a Friday to create like a bigger top wick, if that's so. Sometimes we just push through and we close with no top wick, and there's not much momentum to continue forward because there's not much more range. Then you see some kind of a reaction, or at least a hard retracement to continue back up. Looking at the 4 hour, as you can see how strong this 160 level is, we've just been pushing all the way up, very overextended as well, right? Pushing all the way up to 160, tapping into 161, this whole range over here, and flipping bearish. One thing that I do want to point out, I think you can't see it until the 1 hour, which we're going to have to go all the way over to the left for that. But it's going to be key for you guys to pay attention to. We have 162, 500 as well. These candle body highs, rejection, rejection, previous support over here. So that's another level that you can mark off. I would say 162, 666. It's a little sketchy, but it's all right. So now, as you can see, we're rejecting over here. So can we get some kind of a deeper pullback into this whole area from 158 to 160? Can we find some sort of a support in here before we continue back up and retest that high? Right? Or are we coming all the way back down to 158? That's what you got to see on the lower time frames. But there's a reason why we're reacting in this area from 160, I would say, to like 160, 500. There's a key level right there to the left. All right, 4 hour. This is looking nice as far as a continuation down. You actually got, as you can see, hard bullish candles, very strong bullish candles, a nice close above 160, right? Last night during Asian. And then we pushed all the way up to this level. Then what you ended up getting is a very weak bullish candle right here. Weaker than all the other ones, right? So that shows signs of exhaustion and a psychological level 161. Then this candle created a lower high, passed the low of this candle, and then closed a very strong bearish candle. Now on this 4 hour candle, which started around 5 o'clock, so the first half of it was creating this top wick. Or is the second half going to create a big bottom, not a bottom wick, but is he going to flip bearish and create a nice bottom candle, or a body? Sorry, spazzing out there. Is he going to create a bigger bottom body over here? Say that 5 times fast. All right, now this is where I want to go all the way over to the left over here so that you could see why we're kind of reacting to this area. Maybe it's the 4 hour. Wish there was like a button that you could go to recent price action. All right. So as you can see, obviously 160, that level is very strong, but you have like previous resistances right above that area, or previous supports right above that area, right over here as well, all in this area over here. So what I'm going to do is mark off with a rectangle here. A clear box right there, right above that level. As you can see, multiple reactions into that, so it's more like a zone tapping into this area. So now if we go back to where we were at, looking at the 1 hour, you can see that that's now a very strong zone that we were kind of struggling to get above, right? We were kind of ranging in here yesterday, right in here. And then we finally exited that area over here with a strong bullish candle right there. The next 1 hour candle created a bottom wick, flipped bullish, and then just took off, right? So now, again, we found that exhaustion up here, and we created yearly highs up here around 161 flat. So psychological number again, we ended up breaking our support. We were ranging a little bit, broke the support, continued all the way back down to this area. So now we kind of closed in this area over here. And if you're going to mark off most recent support and resistance, you have this support right here, with price reacting in this area and holding that as a resistance. So now we're continuing down. This would have been a nice move right here. After this candle flipped bearish, right, you could have taken this with a stop loss above it, or if you were more comfortable, put a stop loss in here, or maybe even like somewhere in this range, multiple pips above this wick, right? So now, question is, on the 1 hour, are we going to get a strong close below this area? If you miss this candle, just wait for the retest right over here, or at least like a wick up, and then you can continue back down to the next level on the 1 hour, which is right here. So let's first measure this area right there. You got about 34, 35 pips, about 32 pips, I would say. So big enough range for you to grab at least 10 pips over here. So let's see if we get that close below. It is now 7:29, 30 minutes about to close, which it just did, right? Just close at that level. Beautiful move right here. Picture perfect price action over here. So right now, what I don't want to happen is this candle to pass the low right away, right? What we want is a top wick formed, and then this candle flipping bearish in the second half of the candle to continue right back down to this area. Now the question is, what will this range be? You got about 20 pips right there, so that's enough to take it, and I could see us continuing down even more. But right now, this is our next target, 159,500. And again, I was saying on the higher time frames, you got an overextension of this move. This was bound to happen, and this is what you want to happen. If you think GJ is going to continue bullish, right, through 160, through 161, these yearly highs over here, then you want a discount. You want to buy GJ at a discount where you get it at a lower level, and then you can wait for support to form and then continue up. Now, if you expect GJ to come back down to 158, this is like a dream for you guys. This range. So I'll do it right here. Right here. This is what scalpers, swingers, any kind of trader is always looking for. You're always looking for this clean volume over here, the clean movement to the left, where you can easily mirror this move and continue right back down. So you look for at least a close below this level. Right here, you get the top wick formed on the next candle, and then boom. I don't know if it's going to fall that hard, but you know, there's a good chance, and you're always looking for probabilities. You never know what's going to happen next. And you don't need to know what's going to happen next as a successful trader. You just need to know what's the higher probability of something happening. So you got clean moves to the left over here that you could be mirroring, and that's what you look for. At least look for this top wick on this candle, just like we're looking for right here, for you to reject that level, retest it, grab liquidity, and then continue bearish. Does that make sense, guys? So this move is a little overextended right here. So that's why you're looking for that pullback. It's the same thing as what I just said with the you're waiting for that discount. It's the same thing but opposite when it comes to sells. You're looking to sell at a higher price. Buy low, sell high. It's the I don't know, the key to any business. There's definitely a better word for that, but it's the main part of business is supply and demand, and you're trying to grab price at a better area as far as, you know, if you're going to buy it, you're going to buy it at a discount. You're going to buy it at the lowest price possible. If you're going to sell, you want to sell at the highest price possible, right? So so I'm just looking for some kind of a rejection of this level and price to continue down, or at least in the second half of this 30-minute candle, we start, you know, we hold this area and we start to flip bearish. And passing the low of that candle, you might be able to grab a move. Again, you got 20 pips right here. You guys following? All right, we're now breaking the lows over here. So this could be an opportunity for you to take a trade. Still the first 3 minutes of the candle, so I lowered my risk a little bit, but right now I am in this. And my stop loss a couple pips above over here, and I'm looking for the volume to take us down. I'm only looking for 10 pips, stop loss at break even, and let this thing run. Glad we were able to take a trade this morning out here.
Now remember that this trade is basically market sentiment leading into the news, because the market's going to open up in like about 30 minutes, or yeah, the news is going to come out in about 30 minutes. The New York session is going to open up in about 30 minutes.
Absolutely. Now, if this candle starts flipping bullish again, then I'm probably going to manage risk a little bit, because my stop loss is in an interesting spot. It's where we could be retesting, right? So I'm expecting, like, my plan for this trade is a nice push, right? And if we don't get that nice push of about 10 pips, mirroring this move kind of right here, right? Then it's not according to my plan. So then I'm going to manage risk a little bit. And then I can re-enter once price ends up retesting right here and then continuing down during New York volume. Make sense? So that's where I like to go down to the lower time frames over here. Yeah, see, these candles are getting a little bit weaker. And I actually use the lower time frames over here. So if we start engulfing this candle right here and closing bullish and maybe passing the high of that candle, I'm going to just manage risk. Again, I lowered my volume on this because it's an impulse entry. And I was expecting, because we already did create that top wick, flipping bearish over here to continue down, which could still happen. But again, you have to have like certain rules for certain setups and what exactly you're looking for in that trade. And if it doesn't go along as planned, a lot of you guys end up, you know, changing your plans mid-trade, and you can't be doing that.
Give me 1 second here. I'm going to stop the YouTube stream and then restart it.
Okay.
I don't know why it says that it's set